this is Karen from the Huntley Library. Thanks for joining me for today's Teen Crafternoon. We're doing Kitchen Scraps 3. Today we are going to be sprouting various things. Celery, carrots, what else? Red leaf lettuce, green onions, possibly more. So we're going to gather some of our kitchen scraps together and get started, and hopefully we'll get these things to sprout and we can add them to our garden or make nice houseplants out of them.
Alright, this is the produce that we're going to be using today. I've got some red leaf lettuce. You can use other head lettuces too, as long as they've got this sort of base where they get cut off from their grounds. This is where the roots are going to reform and where it's going to take in water. So some kind of head lettuce is fine. You can also use cabbage. I also have a carrot. You can get the carrots with the greens. I'm just going to save this part of it, and then we're going to try and get it to grow its leaves and then its long taproot, because the carrot is actually a root vegetable. And I also have some green onions, and we're going to be trying to resprout this area where the roots come out of the bulb, and then some celery. So we're going to process all of this so that, you know, we can use the produce itself for something, but also the leftovers to grow. Okay, we're going to process our celery first. And the way I like to do it is to take off all of these big pieces, which I will use probably in a soup later on. And I'm going to set those aside. Just keep going around. My rabbits like the leafy part, so they'll get that. And eventually we come down to this sort of yellowed center. This part didn't get a whole lot of light, so didn't develop as much chlorophyll to be green as the outer pieces. And this is actually what we want here. This is where it will grow new roots, and this is where the leaves will come up out of it. So I'm going to leave this amount on here, and this will be our rooting area, and maybe we'll even get some more leaf growth from around that area too. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to put this in just a little bit of water to try and start the rooting process, and meanwhile we will process our other greens here. Okay, so next we have the green onions, and we just need to free them from their packaging. Get a little piece of tape down here. Come on! Alright, that's free, and just get the rubber bands off. So for these are like onions, so this is the bulb area, and that's where it sends up its shoots, and then below that are the roots. And I use the green onions for flavoring in soup and in pasta and salads. So I'm going to save all of the green tops and just cut them off like right about here, and then we can root the bulbs in water. So let me get my little kitchen shears, and I'm just gonna cut right like that. And then we'll save the rest of this for cooking, and then put these off to the side to root. Okay, and now I have our head lettuce. This is my red leaf lettuce, and I do the same thing with the lettuce as I do with the celery. I just want to remove all the leaves and save this sort of base area where it used to be attached to its own root system in the ground. Or maybe they grew these hydroponically. So wherever its roots used to be, we're going to save that part, so hopefully we can get it to re-root. Or if it doesn't re-root, sometimes they at least grow some new leaves. So that would be fine too. You'll have more lettuce to eat that way. My rabbits will have more lettuce to eat. So I'm going to take off most of these leaves, and then I'm just going to leave these last few smaller leaves that were in the center there to grow, and then maybe some of these side leaves will grow too, these little ones down here that didn't become large leaves, and then hopefully it will root from that area. So we'll set that one aside as well. Okay, we are ready to get some water and some containers to get these growing. All right, we're ready to get our celery, lettuce, and green onions in their water. So I've got some water right here, and I have some little bowls that I'm going to be using, and then this is just a little plastic container that I had that I think will hold the green onions a little bit better than these bowls, which they're going to flop around in. You could use like a plastic cup or something like that, or glass if you have those things. You just want to make sure that you don't cover too much of the growth with water or it'll just rot. So just a little bit of water in the bottom, and then you can check this every day or so just to see what the water level is and whether you're getting any rooting happening. So here's my lettuce, which wants to fall over, and then this is the celery. That one's going to stand up nicely for us. And then here are the green onions, and we're just going to put them in there. I've had lots of success with the green onions regrowing their leaf part, and they've already got roots on them, so if you want to plant these outside as soon as they have some more of the leaf growth on them, you can do that probably pretty quickly. Or you can put them in potting soil and keep them inside. It's still a little cold right now. I'm filming this in early May, so we still have some 30-degree and 40-degree weather in the next week or so. So maybe don't put them outside right away, but as soon as things warm up, you could plant them in the ground if you wanted to. I'm actually going to add a toothpick, I think, to this one, so that it can stand up a little bit better. Assuming I can find my toothpicks. There we go. So if you have a floppy one, you can either trim the bottom to help it stand up a little bit better, or we'll see if adding a toothpick will help it a little bit. Maybe a couple. I've seen them, I've seen avocado seeds sprouted this way too, where you have the toothpick sort of piercing the seed to hold it in place. You are welcome to try that method when you do your avocado seeds, if you want. So that's helping a little bit keep it steady. So possibly toothpicks are one of the supplies you might want to have around. Okay, so these are ready to get sprouted and rooted. I'm going to put them on my table, which has received some morning light, but most of it's indirect light, and hopefully that will encourage the leaves to grow and not dry them out too much. But like I said, definitely check them every couple of days to make sure that there's still water in there so that they can continue to grow. And once you have some decent roots on them, like I said, you could put them outside or pot them in some potting soil before you then transplant them outside. I'd promised to sprout a carrot for you too, and I forgot to do that in the last sequence I filmed. So here's a carrot, and this is the part that we're going to try and sprout. So I'm going to cut it just below that, and then hopefully the taproot will grow down like this, and we'll get some greens on the top there. So this I'm going to put in a little bowl of water, and grab one of those. Here's my bowl, here's some water. I don't want a whole lot in there, and I'm just going to stick that down like so. And carrots will get like little white roots coming off of the taproot too, so hopefully those will start to sprout. And I'm hoping I'll get some greens on top. So I'll put this over by my other pieces of vegetable that are waiting to sprout. I'm going to get a bonus too because I have this red pepper. You can collect seeds from things like peppers and tomatoes and whatnot, and in the pepper, I already sliced it open. You can just lift them out, and then there's a whole bunch of them that you can try and grow. I would put these, like we did before, in a wet paper towel and just see if any of them germinate. You can let them dry out for a couple days too before you do that. So there's a whole bunch. These end up in my compost all the time, and I get lots of volunteer tomatoes. I don't know if they're necessarily from the tomatoes that I buy from the store or if they're from ones that the squirrels get out of my garden and just seed themselves wherever they happen to fall. The squirrels don't actually like my tomatoes. They just like to take bites out of them and carry them off to places where no one else can enjoy them after they've been at them. So, lovely little creatures. So I'm going to put these seeds aside and let them dry out, and then put them in a paper towel and see what happens. All right, and we'll get our carrots started too. These are our bonus bell pepper seeds that I collected earlier. I dried them out, so they're ready for planting too. I'm going to put those once again in one of my plastic jugs, this one for red bell peppers. So those will go out on my patio as well, and then we'll check on those in a few days and see if they've sprouted. I'm not going to be using all of these seeds. I'll probably use 5 or 6 of them and see how that goes, because I don't really need all that many peppers, but you can see that the one pepper produced quite a few seeds, which you can use to plant. We're ready to do our citrus seed reveal. I have to say that I don't think we're going to get much out of these. I checked them a while ago, maybe a couple days ago, and I didn't see any sprouts. Which ones are we looking at? These are the lemon seeds. And if you remember, those were probably the biggest seeds that I got out of my citrus collection. So it looks like they have a little bit of mold in their paper towel. I don't see any sprouting. Yep, I don't know if these seeds are just not viable or if they didn't like the moist paper towel method for germination. So I think we might have to start over again with our citrus seeds. Or maybe I'll pop a few of them into a plastic jug and put them outside along with the avocado and the mangoes. So those are the lemons. And then we had a couple of seeds from the Tangelo. Here's my Tangelo baggie. And when I checked them last, they weren't really doing anything either, so let's see what happened with those. Again, there's a little bit of mold on here. And those seeds are kind of small, and I wasn't sure if they were even fully developed, so not seeing any sprouting from any of those. This is probably the biggest one that I had from that batch, and no sprouting there either, so that's disappointing. I did harvest a couple of seeds from a grapefruit this morning, so I will try and stick those in a jug too and see how those sprout. And maybe we'll get some germination there if they're outside in the sunshine. So, sorry guys, I really wanted to grow some of these, so I'm hoping that some of my next batch of seeds will be good candidates for us. So I wanted to give you an update about what's happening with our kitchen scraps. The mango seed and the avocado seeds and the citrus seeds that we tried starting indoors a while ago have gone outside in plastic containers and are all safe and sound in those. I don't see any sprouts above the level of the dirt just yet, so you'll want to check in with me at the library sometime later this summer and see how they're doing if you're curious. But the things that we started sprouting today in this video, I've actually
filmed parts of that before. So these have been in my house in their little bowls for a few weeks now, and I wanted to give you an update on those. We have the green onions, which have grown quite a bit. I think I cut them down to maybe 1 or 2 inches of green still showing, and they've got a good foot or more of length on them, so these could still be used for cooking. They have a nice healthy root system, so these are probably ready to go outside and be planted again if I wanted to do that. I wanted to caution you with the green onions especially. Sometimes this bulb part can get rotten while you're trying to sprout the roots on the bottom, so if you notice the water's getting a little cloudy like this is, you can rinse these off in the sink and then put them back in fresh water. Rinse the little bowl out too that you have them in, and then that should help avoid that root rot, and planting them outside should help that too, or in some soil. This is the red leaf lettuce, and although the leaves have grown a little bit more on this and I'm getting some growth around the base here, I'm not getting any roots forming on the bottom of this. So this might not, I mean, it might have been cut too short, or it might need some rooting hormone or just some more time to form some roots. So this one I'm going to have to clean out the water and rinse off this the stem right here, just so it doesn't get rotten. I've had these get rotten really easily, and if I don't see any root growth in maybe another week or so, I'll feed this to my rabbits and they'll be very happy. I have got a carrot top here, which we just had tiny little green sprouts at the top of this the last time I showed you, and now we have some nice roots forming at the bottom, and I'm really happy with the growth we're getting on here. So this I'm gonna rinse off and then give it a little bit more water and wait for just a few more roots to form, and then I will plant that outside. My rabbits love both the carrot bottoms and the tops. The carrot bottoms are a little bit too sugary for them to have on a regular basis, but they love eating the carrot tops, and I hear that people like those too. So you can harvest those in the future. This was from the celery, and the celery, I've often had problems with it rotting around the stem too, like the leaf lettuce does, and the green onions if you leave it in the water too long. But this one's actually starting to form some teeny tiny roots. I don't know if you can see those. There we go. Yep, so little roots. So this one needs a little bit longer inside in sort of this protected environment before I'm gonna put it outside. It needs a stronger root system, but it is growing some nice new celery green tops there. So I will rinse this out too and put it back in some water and let it form a stronger root system. So that's all I have on updates. I am going to be starting a pineapple top, so let me show you that real quickly. This is my pineapple top. The pineapple fruit was down here, and you can still see there's a little bit remaining. The instructions I was following recommended that you allow the cut that you make to callus, which means it'll form like a skin over it so it's not super moist. And I think it's done that pretty well. And then you can kind of peel off any of this material that will come off. So I'm gonna do that. And then if you have dead leaves, I have a bunch of those, you can peel those off if they'll come off easily, or you might need to use some scissors to get those off. I've still got some green happening in the middle here, so I'm gonna cut off these extra leaves here that are just sort of dry and dead. Give it a nice little trim. And then we're gonna put it in a glass of water in some indirect light, much as we have done with some of these other things that we've been sprouting in the kitchen. And we're gonna wait for some roots to form down here on this calloused part, and we might get some new leaf growth too up on the top where some of these leaves are still a little bit green. Probably get some new leaves. I don't know about these old ones. They are not looking too good. So once we've got this all prepared, it can go in a glass. Has anybody else tried sprouting pineapple before? The actual plant is kind of interesting. The fruit forms like up on the top of the plant. So underneath there'll be all these leaves, and then you've got this pineapple up on top. I think they look super goofy. I saw them in Hawaii before, and they were very amusing. So I challenge you to grow a pineapple if you can. I also challenge you to cut a pineapple. I'm embarrassed because my mom grew up in Hawaii, and I do not have pineapple filleting skills. So I was really thrilled that my pineapple purchase included a little tag on it that told me how to best cut it so that I could get the most fruit out of it. So that was very helpful. That could be your biggest challenge. But fresh pineapple is so good. I'd forgotten how delicious it is. If you have an opportunity to eat some pineapple, please do. It's a good excuse to say, I need a pineapple so that I can try and grow it from the scraps. And I will also enjoy tasting it too. So that's almost done. This haircut's taken quite a while. I have another piece that I can tear off. Okay. So let me just get a glass for this, and I'll show you what's going to be its home for the next few weeks. I'm imagining it's going to take a few weeks for this to sprout anything. That's usually the case with the things that I've sprouted in the past. So let me get a glass for that. There's my glass. Here's my pineapple. Oh, it's even going to fit. Whoa, it's maybe fitting too well. Whoa, come back up. Maybe I'll give it a toothpick or something to help support it, or a pencil. Something. I don't want it to go down quite that far, or I'll pour some of the water out. And then this is just going to go sit in my bathroom window where it can get some sunlight. So check in with me later on this summer and ask me how my pineapple is doing. See you later. Thanks for joining me for today's Teen Crafternoon. I hope you've enjoyed this series of growing things from your kitchen scraps, and I've had lots of opportunities to experiment with your own kitchen scraps in sort of a science experiment. I'm having a lot of fun, so I'm going to keep doing this with mine. For more fun ideas, please check out our website, www.huntleylibrary.org, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're interested in doing that, and you'll get all of the updates about when our new videos are released. So I'm signing off with my little carrot sprout. See you next time, everybody. Bye.